This project I created really to explain the basics of databases inside web pages. It has a very simple table, and let me show you the table as we go along. So you've already seen in the last few sessions that we can read data into a web page using AngularJS, using PHP. Today we'll go a bit further, understand more mechanics, and I'll tell you what is the next step when you do your degree, do your masters, go and make $1 million in Silicon Valley. So this is the data. These are the names of the images, and this is where I'm reading it. So this image, all of this is being generated by PHP. If you view the source, you will see it's all HTML because PHP writes out HTML. Unlike JavaScript where you can see the variables, this has actually been processed by the server and it has written out HTML. And if I show you the PHP code, if I go to burgers.php and I try to okay, Dreamweaver is opening it by default, that's good. And you can see all of this PHP code, in fact, this loop, just that one simple loop. And I've got two loops, I'll tell you why. These loops pull out data row by row. And the two loops are the loop on the left and the loop on the right. So anything which has got a special tag. So see, special, I could change this on a daily basis. I could give the user the ability to change this on the daily basis. So I've got two rows, and let me close this one here. I just want to minimize this one. So I have this, and I have two rows being read by PHP. We saw this in the last 2 weeks, how to read data. Easy, no problem. The next step is to provide CRUD features to a user, just like a content management system. So you sell this to a guy who has a roadside stall whose customers use mobile phones to order stuff. He wants to change his menu. He wants to change his prices. There are many things he would like to change, but he doesn't want to keep calling Mr. Web Designer and pay $50 an hour for it. So you really design a nice product for that person. And I used to have a button here for login. What is this? Okay. So there's a login on the home page. What does the login do? So I usually put login on the right, so I'm looking at the right. So I've got a login and password. We look at this page first. It takes me to this page, but how did it know that I actually gave it something valid? What if I say Dilip and some password? Invalid. What does this? How does it do it? Let's have a look at it. I have a table called user. In the user, of course, I have an ID. I have a username. And I have an encrypted password. I don't know what that means, but it's encrypted. I didn't do it. It's a algorithm. You will learn about it in university in your second year of degree if you choose subjects which are aligned to security. The thing is, even if somebody hacked this database, they would have to reverse engineer the algorithm. Now there are some very popular algorithms. This one that I've used is SHA-256. it's a 64-bit string. If you see, if you go to my structure, it's a 64-bit string. Okay, SHA-256 generator. There are many of them. So that's a hash calculator. Hashing is the algorithm. So if I said Angel and I decided to find the hash, that's what Angel is, encrypted. That's what the leap is, encrypted. Now, just like there are SHA calculators, there are SHA reverse engineering algorithms as well. Because this means one and only one thing. I can use a program that generates algorithms and I can convert every dictionary word into this, okay? And I can then start thinking how it works. And somebody told me you can, within half an hour, using today's computers, things can be unhashed, or rather there's a table. And that's why even when hackers like LinkedIn, and I'm sure LinkedIn actually uses encryption passwords, but when something like LinkedIn or Adobe gets hacked, passwords do get compromised. Now this thing becomes increasingly difficult because of the combinations used in passwords. So if I use something like a D, a small, a capital, a small, an exclamation mark, a hash, if I use something like this, the number of combinations becomes exponentially increases. It becomes very large. So it takes a computer a longer time to reverse engineer the code. But for all practical purposes these days, I think MD5, SHA, they're all algorithms that are available to you with PHP. And I'll show you when you create a register page how they're used. When I teach the whole thing in the web development program, I just get students to put their password through a generator and put it in the database initially. So I have a login and password, and that was the password for the other one. Comes here. I can add a new administrator. Let's look at this. Because any website that wants you to register, it wants you to choose a username, password, and you save it into a database called users, right? Any website in the world that you use. Now just bear in mind the shifting paradigms. As you proceed out of TAFE, you are reaching a world where kids have dozens of login and passwords already. So you want to start using APIs. You want to use a JavaScript code given by Facebook or Google, and you want to use their logins. Okay, you don't, because users don't want to sign up. If you want users to use your website, you got to allow them the facility to use a login password which they already have, and it's no big deal for you. Facebook gives you an API, you put the code, user gives login password, you pass it to Facebook, Facebook verifies it for you, you say okay, and you redirect to your page. Those are much better options. But still, sometimes in cases like these, roadside shop owner is busy, he wants to give authority to some secretary to start modifying things. So add a new administrator. And my purpose was really just to show how a user can be added. So there you go. 8 characters with one number. I should have put S in bracket, otherwise it looks grammatically wrong, but that's okay. I'm going to choose password. 8 characters. Damn, I shot myself in the foot. Now I have to remember it, don't I? One number and one uppercase. And 8. BANANA 1. You don't like B2? B1? Okay, B1. Submit. Please match the requested format. That was not 8. Banana 1, 2, B1 and B2. There you go. So we'll go admin 2. banana 1 2. Cool. Let's see what happened here. Let's see what happened here. I added a new one, admin 2. That's what banana 1 2 looks like. Now, this is the genuine test that your password has been encrypted, that even the person who owns the database does not know your password. If I went here, I don't know the password. You don't know what this is. This one you know because I typed it in front of you. And that's why many times when you get an email saying, hey, your login is Angel, your password is password, problem. Usually they will send you a link. I don't know your password, but you have forgotten your password. So click here. And very easy, you can make a form where they type the old password, you check it against the database. If it is there, then you update the database. Okay? Something like that. Or you can just go and reset this to something like friend and say your password has been reset to friend, but please change it again. Okay? And we'll see the process now. So that's encryption for you. Coming back here, the simplest form of editing content which is being read from a database is that you should be able to add data, you should be able to edit existing data, you should be able to delete records, you should be able to modify them. It's known as CRUD. Okay? Create, retrieve, update, delete. So I've got add, edit, delete. And where is reading? Reading is the listing that you saw, that is reading. The burger listing that you saw, that was reading of data. So let me add a new product. Item name, new specialty burger, description, don't buy it, totally crap, price $23, special, yes, food type, it's either burger or roll. I know the database fields, but usually you want to give the user a hint here. So I've got a message here somewhere. That's it, new specialty burger, don't buy, totally crap. I have added it. And if I click on delete, says delete. Now let's look at these processes. After I logged in, I came to a page called edit.php. What did edit.php do? It was nothing but I'm reading the same data again and again in a loop. I'll tell you what this session does. Really important. Can you see this thing? Welcome admin 2. Let's look at the login process again. Login, admin 2, and banana. Can't spell banana. Banana 1 2. Let's look at each page so we can understand the mechanics. The login page is a form. It is a form with two things, right? It even has a message from the whole thing. I'll show you, I'll talk to you about the session variables. So I got a form and I have got two fields, input fields, which you are aware of. See the action, in a form there's an action, right? I'm calling process login. Cool? To process it. Process login is the guy who's going to say, hey, that was the wrong login and password. Or hey, that's a good one, welcome. So let's look at process login. So if you look at process login.php, process login, this is the page. It takes the variable, whatever has been posted. Understand this. You see the method get and post, there's always a method in a form. If you say method post, that means every form field will be held in memory. What is the name of this password? That means this will be held in $_post password. Whenever you do post, a new variable called $variable, $post will hold it. $post password. Now $post is an array. It's an array. See the brackets? So you have $post employee. So if you had 20 things and you are posting it into a record, there would be 20 things. This prevents SQL injections. You might have heard that people hack sites and passwords by using SQL injections. That's because what happens is instead of password, they put some kind of a binary logic. None or 1 equals 1. You know the and or now. Now if you put none or 1 equals 1, 1 equals 1 is true, right? So you could actually trick the form into believing, oh yeah, that's true. Because at the end of the day, password is true or false. So none is a bullshit. And then you have or 1 equals 1. So this function prevents people from trying to put an SQL injection into the password field and bypassing it. Okay. So it basically escapes all of those extra characters. It does not allow people to put characters. So from the login form, you have put called process login with a method post. You have taken whatever is posted, put it in a variable. Variable, cool. Then I run a query. Select all username and password from user where username is this and password is equal to this. Okay. Now if the result is exactly 1, if the result is exactly 1, then set up a session variable just like $post and $get. This is a variable. It's a session variable, login successful, authorized to edit products. Let me show you where it appears. Which page am I going to after the login is successful? Edit P. Good. And I think I have Edit P already open. See Edit P. You will see somewhere here I have a session login, $employee. I will welcome him. And if I go to Edit P, can you see this echo? Welcome session login. Session login, in my process login, session login is holding the employee name. Okay? So if the employee name was Dilip, it will say welcome Dilip. So if Angel logs in, it will say welcome Angel. And you think, oh wow, this computer is really intelligent. It loves me. It knows my name. I'll marry it. That's it. Great. Fantastic. It starts building that personalized relationship with you by taking your own data from your fields and giving it to you. Oh, hi Angel, how are you? So if you have told a particular system that you like, your hobbies are fishing and you like driving, your interests are games, automobiles, all of that personalized information from the database will be used to target you. So I'll take money from advertisers and say, I got a database. I know who likes cars. I know who likes fishing. But these session variables will hold your employee number, and this is what is going to give you that personalized feeling. For session variables to work, wherever session variables are used, the first line under PHP should be session start. Otherwise, it will never show. And here, you will see under PHP, the first line is session start. So wherever you are using session variables, you need this. That's all. Because then it holds into memory the session variables. So let's go back and look at this mechanics again. Login. Welcome admin 2. Cool. That's a session variable. So now I'm back to this page. All of this is being read from the database in a loop. So first thing, I will run a query, definitely. The 3 most important things that you learned last week are, you have to make a connection to the database, you have to have a query, you put the query in a result, You put the result in an array. So $row is an array. And when I say $row menu ID, I will get the ID. When I say $row pick, it will get me the pick. Now the important thing to remember is this MySQLi fetch array, which is storing the array inside the variable $row. This array increments by 1 every time it is read. So when the first record is read, the array goes to the next one, to the next one. I once had this code running somewhere on top, and whenever I ran the loop, I could always see products from the second one. I was wondering, why is it skipping the first one? It is because I was already running it at top. So it ran the first one, I didn't display it, but when I ran it the second time, it would display it from the second record. So just be careful about this array thing. It becomes a bit tricky to put links, but you can see I've put an ahref delete.php and on click return confirm are you sure, basically just a confirm JavaScript box, are you sure. But delete PHP and look at this, ID is row menu ID. So when I hover over this, I want to show you something. When I hover over this, can you see the ID at the bottom? Just here it will appear. What ID do you see? Can you see ID? No? Can you see the ID at the very bottom? Okay, now? ID 1. You know from where it's picking up? Because when I pick up the data, I'm picking up the ID as well. So $row menu ID gives me the ID. $row menu ID gives me the ID, right? So I get the IDs, and let me come back to my page. So if I go to, I'll just add another one, dummy 2, description dummy product, price, so I've got a dummy product here, and you can see it's got ID 12. ID 12, right? So to delete it, if I was to delete something in my database, the way I would delete is I would say delete from menu where menu ID equals 12. And I want to show you that I actually do have 12. So I've got this ID 12, right? And my query would be, I lost it, delete from menu where menu ID equals 12. That would be my query that will delete it. Now here what is happening is I'm calling delete.php. Cool? So when I click here, it's actually asking me to show. It never goes to delete.php because delete.php deletes the record and comes back. So let me try to show you. Delete.php. Is it what? Delete p. It's delete p.php. This error object not found simply means your file is not there. The file you are looking for is not there. Maybe you're looking for the wrong person, the wrong file. So undefined index. Good. That's good. Let's look at delete.php. So you see delete.php wants an ID. It wants an ID. And when I come from this page, You see the question mark ID? Whenever you have a question mark ID kind of situation, it gets stored in a get variable. Let me show you examples of get used all over the place. Let's say that's a news site from Google. Okay, if I go and click on Taliban, you can see this question mark. It's getting all the things that you're interested in. Let's go to world, and you can see there is this AU here that stands for region Australia. If I change it to IN, it should work because it's going to actually look for India, and you can see India has come up here. So this variable stores a lot of information. It's a get variable. So quite often in your pages, you can actually go up here and change the question. So out here, we have to do a test, and it forces you to read the text on the page before it actually shows you the question. But what I do is I normally just go up here and I change the variable to 2, 3, 4, and it actually keeps going. So we have to do a test up here for health and safety, but they try to sort of force upon you to read it. So that doesn't happen until you actually read it and you press next. It's got a timer, but you can trick it. Also, many people use this, and this is an insecure way to use it. Some banks used to use superannuation accounts. So your member number used to be up here. So you could be in something like super account, or let's say you're in a superfund.com.au, and your profile is shown by ID equals, and you have a member number. Very insecure. Now one person, he changed the member number to see if it actually worked. He's an IT expert. He changed it. He went into somebody else's super account, and then he called up the super fund to say, hey, that's insecure because people can get into others. They threw him in jail for accessing somebody else's super account, but they never fixed the problem. Okay? So even if you do such things, don't tell anyone. Don't even.
Just take the money. You're okay.
No, you can't actually steal the money just because you are looking at somebody's super account. It was a matter of privacy. It was a matter of looking into somebody else's account, that you breach somebody's privacy. And the net is full of it. The net is full of such flaws. So that's the way IDs are used. The way I'm using it here is because I'm deleting an account. So let's see. I know that it is ID 12. So if I say question mark ID equals 12, okay? Now I'm running this off the command line. 12 is gone. 12 is gone. But when I actually delete it from here, I'm going to add another one. Yep, that's the one. I got 13 now. When I run it from here, what is happening is delete.php is running, and I'm redirected to this page. Okay? So this is actually going to run the command and redirect me here. It actually runs the command delete.php question mark ID equals 12. So that's how I delete. Edit. Let's look at edit. Edit will take me into a form. How do I get this value? Because I know which was clicked. See, I know which one is clicked. ID 1, ID 3, I know which one is clicked. I run a query, get the data, and I pre-fill the data here. Let's have a look at that code. It's a bit heavy, but just stay with me. So I've got edit P. So all that is CSS. The most important thing that I need in edit is the ID, which was used to actually get, oh, not edit P, I'm sorry, this one is edit form. Need to get edit form. I make my connection to the database. I get the ID, which one was clicked. I need to know which one was clicked, right? See, when I click on edit, once again you can see the IDs at the bottom. I'll just lift this up. Can you see the IDs at the bottom? Just about. Yep, ID 3, ID 6, and it is calling edit form. So let me go here. You see this edit form 5? If I change this to 6, I get the details of item 6. If I get 7, and you know what I mean, this being unsafe, I can start seeing what other products are even without being authorized to do so, just because I can see a URL that is capable of being changed. So I think 13 is the one I wanted. 13, 12.
So would you still be able to access this if you weren't logged in?
No, you can't access it if you weren't logged in. Let me show you. So if I log out, edit p.php, and then I change this to edit p.php. Oh, it does allow me. I should actually have checked whether the person is logged in, and I should check a session. You know how the session variables are there? I should set a session variable that says user is logged in, and if a user logged in session variable is set, only then allow them. So no, you should not be allowed. I have messed up, but I think it has something to do with an error. It's not checking properly because of this undefined index. My bad. My code is bad, but it should not allow me. In each of these PHP files, I have an if statement here. So in process login, I can actually set something called dollar underscore session logged in is equal to admin logged in. Okay, so I've set a variable. So I've set a variable, and what I really should do is say that if this variable is set, so any of the pages which are restricted, I should really be saying if is set dollar session logged in, then you do all of this, else return to the home page. So I'll just get a header from somewhere. So edit.php, if logged in is set, then you go here, else I'll send them back to index.php. I'll just send them home. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to say process login, and it might work. But that's the idea. You have to set a variable if somebody is logged in, and you have to check whether that variable is set. If it's not set, don't allow them to log in. Also, when somebody logs out, you have to destroy that variable, because otherwise it will stay in memory. So when somebody logs out, which means I need to open logout.php. Yeah, I'm destroying the session, which means all sessions should be destroyed. Let's see. So I've logged out. Let me try to go to edit p.php. Yeah, see, now it doesn't allow me to go. And now if I go admin2 banana 1 2, nice. Okay. So we're back here. Shouldn't allow you to come here. So we have seen add a product, brings you to a form. Now this form, again, add a product. If I actually go to add a product, what do you think it will call? It's got data, right? It's got name, description, price. It's got a name, description, price. When you post it, it goes into $post. Now you can call another PHP file to take all of the data and put it inside the record, or you can put it here. If is set post submit, which means if the user has posted the submit button, then take the picture, take the name, take the description, take the price, put it in a variable. And once you have all the data, what are you going to do? Run an SQL command, insert into menu. So you have made a connection, taken the data, and run the query. And you set a message, product added, so that when you go back to the page, it gives you a message, hey, product added. Does this mechanic sort of sink in? That every time I either have a form or a command that will either post data or it will run a file and tell how to delete data. The logout is the easiest. I start the session and I destroy all sessions and I go back to wherever I want. The session variable is holding all the users. So when you go to Facebook and it says, hello Patrick, this is your picture. It has a picture of you. It has got all your details. Probably you have chosen an avatar or a screen name or a nickname. Red Demon. Hi Red Demon. It's got everything. But when somebody else comes to log in, your session is destroyed, you log out, next person can log in. And when computers ask you what type of a computer you are using, public or personal, it is really making a decision how much of data it should write on your computer, how many variables it should store on your computer and how much it should not. So it will hold them in RAM, and when you go away it will destroy them. So nothing will be written on the computer. It just wants to know where to hold it, whether on the hard disk or whether in the soft memory. Now this is very simple mechanics. You have data, you're reading from it. You can go and change it. You can go and delete it because you are the owner of the data. A simple menu system. It takes time to understand. You have to do the whole process. And I'll put up this project. The whole process has to be done once to understand it. You can make a magazine where, let's say for a school teacher, where the teacher can go and edit the pictures, edit the content, edit the headings. You can do so many things with this thing. What this particular project has not included is the complications of things like relationships between tables. For example, a blog. In a blog, you have a comment. Okay? Now Sam makes a comment and or Sam makes a review of a particular game and Gopi decides to pay out on him on the blog and goes and comments and says, man, you're full of shit. And then Kiran comes to his defense and says, nah Gopi, you're full of shit, and there's a flame war going on in the blog. Now look at the complication here. Complications here. How many users? 3. Who has logged in? It could be any one of them. Okay? Depending on who has logged in and who is making the comment and who is making a review, you got to hold a relationship table that this comment belongs to Samuel and it was reviewed by Gopi. Samuel comment again reviewed by Kiran. Samuel comment reviewed by this, and you can have an order number in which it's to be displayed. So every time when somebody is logged in and makes a comment, you got to know the comment is for what review it was and where to paste it so that they can appear in order. A blog becomes a bit more complicated, not in terms of mechanics of PHP, but in the mechanics of the database and in the mechanics of the queries. The queries are not straightforward. Because when you say, I want to see, suppose I become a fan of Gopi, I say, awesome comments, man. I should be able to click on Gopi and see his comments, all of his comments, So those kind of queries and hyperlinking become a bit more complicated. But if anybody wants to try it, I've got a complete session on that. And last semester, one of the guys who was doing the game site, he actually did it in one day and he understood the mechanics of a blog. So you want to try that, that's a separate PDF session. You can try it thanks to one of the other teachers here. Is that cool? I'm going to upload this.